Good morning, students. Hope you are here hearty, watching the videos, doing the homeworks, everything regularly. So students, we'll continue with the chapter of geography, that is lesson number 10, spheres of the earth. Now students, we saw that there are 4 spheres on this earth. So we saw the lithosphere, then we saw the atmosphere, biosphere and hydrosphere. We studied 2 topics. They were hydrosphere and lithosphere. Now we'll come to the third part, that is the third type. Sphere, atmosphere. Okay, so we are very familiar with this word, atmosphere. It is a word used mostly in our daily life, okay, in our routine life. And we already know atmosphere means the area surrounding us which has different as of temperature, everything, whatever we speak about. For example, we say today the atmosphere, for example, we say today the atmosphere is very dusty. Today the atmosphere is not very cool. Examples are such. Okay, so we will see what is atmosphere exactly. Okay. Now the earth is surrounded by a layer of gases. Earth is surrounded by a layer of gases. And what happens? And these gases are approximately up to the height of 850 to 1000 kilometers. Okay. Approximate figures will take 850 to 1000 kilometers. Approximate height. Okay, in geography mostly I told you all in the previous sections also and previous lesson also, approximate figures are taken, approximate values are taken. And what happens? The area until that height, which height students? Until the height of 850 to 1000 kilometers is known as atmosphere. And that much of area consists of different variety of gases. That is layers of gases. Okay. And atmosphere can't be seen with our naked eyes. You can't see atmosphere with naked eyes. And so what happens? Various gases, water vapor, then dust particles, particles of asteroids, salt particles and even microorganisms, insects are mixed in the atmosphere. You can say that it's a mixture of different elements, okay, in which you have everything, gases and whatever we saw now, organisms, that is microorganisms, insects, dust, salt particles, everything. So, atmosphere is a combination or mixture of all these things along with gases. Okay, and so what happens? Atmosphere is colorless, odorless and tasteless. Okay, and what happens? You can't have any specific color for atmosphere. What happens here, students? Atmosphere has no specific color, atmosphere has no specific odor. Odor means what? Smell. And tasteless. These 3 elements are very essential. Atmosphere is odorless, that is no smell. It is colorless, no specific color of atmosphere. And atmosphere is also colorless, odorless and tasteless. Okay students, so we can see that atmosphere is such a sphere which can't be seen with our naked eyes. Okay, and atmosphere comprises of solid, liquid and gaseous matters. We already saw these are gaseous matters, layers of gases, and solid matters just as we saw salt, then dust also solid matters, and then you have your liquid matters also. For example, what happens when rain falls? It's liquid matter. So all these things are mixed in the atmosphere. So that is why I said atmosphere is a mixture of different elements. All the 3 matters, liquid, solid and gases are mixed in the atmosphere. And what happens? The atmosphere comprises of major gases such as nitrogen, oxygen, argon, carbon dioxide and ozone, etc. There are many gases, but some of them in a syllabus are nitrogen, oxygen, argon, carbon dioxide and ozone, etc. has to be added there because there are many gases. Now see students on the screen the figure of the ratio of gases in the atmosphere. So students, just see on the screen the ratio of gases in the atmosphere. Now students, ratio of gases means how much percentage each gas is there approximately in the atmosphere. There are many gases, but these are the main ones. Okay students, just as I told you, the first one is nitrogen. Students, the blue colored part, the maximum amount, that is in the maximum amount of the atmosphere, that is 78.03%. Then you have oxygen, that is 20.99%. After that you have argon 0.94%, carbon dioxide that is 0.03%, and other gases are 0.01%. Okay students, so we can see that the maximum amount or the maximum percentage is for nitrogen. The atmosphere comprises of the maximum amount of which gas students? Nitrogen. After that the ratio comes to oxygen. Then it goes in this manner in the descending way only, okay? Then argon, then carbon dioxide and other gases. So students, what did we see? That the atmosphere comprises of mainly these 5 gases. There are many other substances found, just as I told you. There are dust particles, salt particles, microorganisms, insects, everything. We have all the 3 matters, solid, liquid and gaseous. But these 5 gases are found in these many amounts or this much amount in the atmosphere. And students, what happens as we go above the Earth's surface? The ratio of most of the gases decreases. What happens? The ratio of these gases which we saw right now, it decreases. Okay. And so what happens? We can say that when you go upwards, as the height increases, the ratio of gases becomes lesser and lesser. And so what happens? Since carbon dioxide is a heavy gas, it is dense in the lower strata of air and decreases in the above strata. That means when we see it, actually it is 0.03% only. But as we go above to the strata, what happens? It decreases, and as we go lower, it is dense. That means what happens? In the lower strata of the atmosphere, carbon dioxide is more, and as we go upwards, as the height increases in the atmosphere, as we go upwards, what happens? The degree of carbon dioxide is lesser, it decreases. And the presence of carbon dioxide after the height of about 20 kilometers. How many kilometers, students? After the height of 20 kilometers in the atmosphere, what happens? The presence of carbon dioxide after the height of 20 kilometers and the presence of oxygen after the height of 110 kilometers. This is for carbon dioxide. Then for oxygen, you have the height of 110 kilometers. And then for nitrogen, after the approximate height of 130 kilometers. These are the main ones here. After going upwards to the height of 20 kilometers, carbon dioxide, and 110 kilometers oxygen, and 130 kilometers nitrogen, what happens? These 3 gases decrease. That is what happens when you go upwards in the atmosphere towards this height. If you reach 20 kilometers above, see that this carbon dioxide decreases. 110 kilometers, what happens? Oxygen decreases, and 130 kilometers, what happens? Nitrogen decreases. That is why, students, when mountaineers climb high mountain peaks, what happens? They carry oxygen cylinders, masks with them. Why? Because after this specific height, what happens? Oxygen is decreasing to a greatly dangerous level. So what happens? Oxygen becomes less. So these gases, after they reach this specific height, approximate numbers are given. Just here, the level of these gases decreases. And so what happens? At the great height, that is at higher altitudes, what happens? These are only light gases like hydrogen and helium. At a greater height, at high altitudes, we have which gases, students? Hydrogen and helium. Okay? These are the ones existent in the greater heights. So that is why those who go for mountaineering and all, they carry oxygen cylinders with them so that they can breathe easily. So these 2 gases are found at higher altitudes. Okay? And these are comparatively lighter gases in comparison to these 3. Okay? So students, just now we saw that as we go to high altitudes, helium and hydrogen are the 2 gases which are lightweight found in the atmosphere. And so we have this figure on the screen, students, height of gases, okay, in the atmosphere. See the figure carefully, students. What can we see on the screen? We can see that the blue colored line, we can see that the blue colored shade is 130 kilometers above that. See? Then you have 110 kilometers, then you have 20, then you have 0. So we saw it now, students. What happens? Oxygen carbon dioxide and nitrogen. For nitrogen you have how many? 130 kilometers. Then for oxygen you have how many, students? 110 kilometers. Then for your carbon dioxide you have how many, students? 20 kilometers. So these three gases, they decrease as you go up towards higher altitudes. See, students? And then hydrogen and helium are the only ones found as you go to higher altitudes. Okay, students? So we can just see very easily that the altitude increases and the amount or percentage of the denser gases decrease, and the lighter ones, that is hydrogen and helium, increases. Okay, students? Now, what happens here is the ratio of ozone gas in the atmosphere is also very less. Which one, students? Ozone gas is also very less in the atmosphere. Why? Because what happens? This gas absorbs the ultraviolet rays of the sun. This is a gas which absorbs the ultraviolet rays of the sun. Okay. And due to this gas, we experience very less heat. Why? Because this gas absorbs the ultraviolet rays of the sun. In short, you will call it as UV rays. Which rays, students? Ultraviolet, that is UV rays of the sun, is absorbed by the ozone gas. And this gas takes out, absorbs the excessive heat from the rays of the sun and gives us a cool atmosphere. So nowadays scientists are saying, they are of opinion that because of the decrease of ozone gas in the atmosphere, what happens? We are having so much of heat in the atmosphere. Why? Because it is not able to absorb the UV rays. UV rays means ultraviolet rays. Okay. So this gas protects our planet from excessive heat. Which planet is Earth, our own planet, from excessive heat of the sun. And this gas is mostly prevalent in the open grounds in the morning time. Early morning time people go for walks. You already know that. So it is prevalent in the early morning time in open grounds. Okay. And the same way, what happens? Its ratio is also more in the air around the seashore also. So two places, open ground and seashore. These are the two places where you will find maximum amount of ozone gas. Okay. Evening time is seashore and the morning time in the open grounds. Okay. And so people go for morning walks in such places because ozone is at the maximum time extent in this period of time. And due to various particles in the atmosphere, sunlight is seen spreading on the earth. Only because of various particles, matters in the atmosphere, as I saw, sunlight is prevalent on this earth. It does not become dark or bright suddenly. We have everything in a natural way only, no? Natural phenomena. Morning, then afternoon, then evening, then night. Why? This cycle goes on. Why? Because of the various particles prevalent in the atmosphere. Suddenly it does not become dark or bright. Everything happens at the proper time. And the sky colors of dawn before sunrise and dusk after sunset. Two concepts. Dawn sky color is what? The early morning time, just before sunrise. And just after sunrise, a little bit of time, that is 4:30 till 5 o'clock. That is the dawn time. And then you have the dusk time. Dusk time means after sunsets, the time before, just before that, and a little bit time after that. Okay. That is your 5:30, 6 o'clock, or in the summers, 7 o'clock, that time. Okay. So dawn and dusk sky, bright colors of the sky during the dawn and dusk are because the dust particles prevalent in the atmosphere. So students, what happens? Rays of the sun are reflected through dust particles and we get sunlight. So we can see that each and every element present in the atmosphere is necessary for us. Why? Only then Earth receives sunlight in the proper time, in the proper manner, and the proper ratio. Okay. And so what happens? Sound can be heard with the medium of atmosphere. Only because of atmosphere we are having the medium of sound. Which medium is sound? That is sound waves. You can say sound waves are prevalent only because of atmosphere. And waves of light, sound waves and light waves, both are prevalent only because of atmosphere. We can say that atmosphere is useful to us in every way. Why? Because sound waves and light waves are very essential for us. Without that, we cannot have any channels on our TVs and we cannot have the internet facilities. All these things are available only because of the sound and light waves in the atmosphere. So what happens? These things are prevalent in which sphere, students? These things are prevalent in which sphere, students? In atmosphere. And then waves reflect or return to the Earth's surface. So what happens? Transmission of radio and TV becomes possible. That is radio, sound waves, and light waves and sound waves in the TV, internet facilities. All these are possible only why? Because of these two waves, sound waves and light waves prevalent in the atmosphere. And heavenly objects such as meteorites, we already saw in the previous chapter, meteorites burn due to the friction with the atmosphere. So heavenly objects are also coming into contact with atmosphere. Example, meteorites. Okay. So you can say that these things are coming into friction with atmosphere and they get burned up or damaged. Okay. Thus, atmosphere proves to be a natural shield for the Earth. Atmosphere is known as a natural shield of protection for the Earth. Why? Just as we saw right now. What is the natural shield, students? First we saw the UV rays are absorbed. That is the ultraviolet rays of sun are absorbed by the ozone gas in the atmosphere. Then too much brightness of light of sun is not seen. Normally we have the brightness of sun. We have day, night, evening, morning, everything. Why? Because of atmosphere. Then sun and light rays are prevalent. And we get TV, radio, internet facilities only because of these two things in the atmosphere. And meteorites burn up. But they burn up and don't damage the Earth. So all these things are there in the atmosphere. So due to that, what happens? Earth is protected. Our planet Earth is protected. So we can call atmosphere as a natural shield of protection for the Earth. So students, we come to the conclusion of this topic here. What is, students? The third point. The third sphere. That is atmosphere. What is seen in that? The atmosphere is a layer comprising mainly of gases. But we have all three matters: liquid, gaseous and solid. And the height of gases in the atmosphere. And then we saw the percentage of different gases in the atmosphere. How atmosphere is a blessing for the Earth. Okay, students, you have to read page number 60, the topic of atmosphere, and page number 61, the lines there containing the matter of atmosphere till the second class.